What's up guys, Ryan Cheney ELR here. I'm going to do something a little more serious today than my normal joking. Today is going to be educational. So I've got two of my rifles sitting here right now. I've got my 33XC and I've got my Cheytac, and I need to swap scopes. The reason being is I'm shooting in a couple of weeks down in Texas at the Conquer the Castle match. And we're going to have lower density altitude there, and I've heard there's going to be targets out to like 3,700 yards. So I'm going to need a Charlie Tarac on my Cheytac. The 33XC has the scope with the Charlie mount, and this is something that once it's set up and leveled, you don't want to take this off and put it on a different scope. So I'm just going to swap the two scopes between the two. But while I'm at it, I have a high 50 MOA rail that I can put on my Cheytac that'll bring the scope up a little bit so that I will have less optical distortion in the Charlie Tarac at the end of my barrel, because as low slung as this scope is, the line of sight of the scope at full value, I can see the muzzle brake, kind of a distortion in my POV of the muzzle brake, and it actually covers kind of the lower spectrum of the reticle. So I'm going to raise everything up just a quarter of an inch, and we're going to see if that little bit of an angle shift will clear that distortion. You've probably seen that in some of my videos where I have the trigger cam on here and charging it right now. So I'll actually include some footage in this video of the trigger cam with the Charlie before and after to show what the Charlie does. That way I can show you kind of what it looks like and what actually changes when you add the Charlie. Because people look at this thing and they're like, well, how does this actually work? I mean, it's just it's a mirror, but it's like a periscope in a submarine, you know, where you're down below the water, but you're looking above the water. So what this is creating here is a 40 mil shift in the perceived image that's coming through the scope. So all you're literally seeing, if you can see this, see how it just kind of creates a shift there. So it's not actually doing anything to the scope, it's literally just shifting the light coming in, because all we're perceiving is light downrange coming through a scope into your eye. Your eye perceives those images. You put the reticle where you think it's supposed to go, you send them around. Well, all this is doing is it's shifting that incoming light 40 mils. So here I have 36 mils of adjustment in this scope. And when I run out, usually all you have left is the holdover in the reticle. Well, with this, so if I can go 36 mils here, take this all the way back down to the bottom, put the Charlie on, put the screws in, tighten it down. Now I'm at 40. I can run it up to 76 now. So that gives me 76 full mils of elevation adjustment. So I'm going to put the trigger cam on this once I swap these around, going from a 40 to a 50 here, going from a 44.4 MOA spur to a 30. So I'm actually going to lose 4 minutes of angle off of this. So not a big deal. This has an 18.5 inch offset. After all this swaparoo is done, I should be sitting somewhere around a 14 inch offset at 100 yards. And I'm actually going to include that in the video too when I re-zero and show the offset. I'm also going to do a tall tracking test on a 12-foot tall piece of cardboard to verify that this is exactly 40 mils. Because if it's 39.7, I want to know that it's 39.7. So at the range, when I work on this video down the road here in next week, I'm actually going to shoot a tall tracking test rather than just dial it. I'm actually going to set up a 100-yard target in front of our giant berm, and I'm going to put a dot down at the bottom, and I'm going to aim at that dot at the bottom, but it's going to hit somewhere around 12 feet high at 100 yards. And that's what this is getting me. So I'm gonna swap out a bunch of parts and continue on with this project. Well, I'm gonna need longer screws for the rail. I don't know if it came with the action, my other action or not. I have one being built right now, and that's what this is off of. But since I don't need that, I'm not gonna have that one ready most likely this season or late into the season. Figured I could just swap them out, but I don't have long enough screws. That's gonna look pretty slick on there. Okay, fast forward a couple days. I've got the rifle set up. I didn't want to bore you guys with bolting things together. So I'm at the range. I'm getting ready to do the tall tracking test. I've built this megalith behind me here. It's about 10 feet tall, cardboard and wood. I'm going to do a shooting tall tracking test with the Charlie Tarac. I've only got 70 yards to shoot the test because there's a kind of a hump in the landscaping that messes up what I can see at the bottom here. I'm going to put up a target down here at the bottom that I'm going to aim at, and then the bullets are actually going to hit about 8.5 feet high. Then I'm going to measure that. I'm going to make sure two things, well, three. I'm doing multiple things at the same time. I'm checking speed. I'm also going to be checking zero because I have the new rail on there now with a different mount. That scope came off of a different rifle of mine, came off the 33XC, now it's on the Cheytac. I'm going to be checking to make sure that the Charlie Tarac is actually 40 mils and not, 39.8 or whatever. And then I'm also going to make sure that in that 40 mils of elevation, that instant elevation that I'm adding to the scope, that the windage is actually correct and it's not shooting left or right of where it should be, because a 1 degree shift at 40 mils can become a lot. So in the center of this down here, I'm going to put up a target to shoot at. The bullets are going to hit somewhere up there at the top. I'm going to have some trigger cam footage of this process so you can actually see what I'm seeing through the scope and where those impacts are made. And then I'm going to come back and run a level line up it, make sure that it's level where it should be, that it's not, they don't have a windage offset of any kind, and check that actual height and measure it. At 70 yards, 40 mils is 8.4 feet. So I'm going to measure it, I'm actually going to shoot a group. I'm going to measure it down to the 1/16 of an inch and make sure exactly what that Charlie Tarac is showing me. It's saying that it should be 40 mils. We're going to verify it before we go and shoot the castle match. So this is how you do a shooting tall tracking test. Some guys actually will do a tall tracking test where they just run the scope through, but I think shooting it is actually, in my opinion, more definite. It's really difficult to hold a scope perfectly still while somebody makes changes to it. I've seen guys do it. Hey, hold this right there. I'm going to put this on. And your eye naturally wants to go back to that point, where you're going to take the shot. So I just don't see anybody running the scope up 36 mils, running a 40 mil Charlie, and being able to keep that right where it should be without, having a vise of some kind. So, all right, I'm going to go back down range, get everything set up, and ninja. Okay, so I'm all set up at 100 yards. Here's what I've done. I've replaced the rail on the action with the one that came off my new Pierce action. It's going to be built in the 416 Wildcat. What I've done, this is a 50-minute rail. It had a 40-minute rail on it. This is a 30-minute spur. It had a 44-minute spur on it. So I was set up at 84.4 minutes of external elevation, and with the scope completely bottomed out, the elevation turret completely at the lowest point of the travel, it zeroed about 18 inches high at 100 yards. Now I have 50 plus 30, which is 80, so about 4 minutes less. I'm gonna guess we're gonna be at about 14 inches of offset at 100 yards. So I'm just gonna verify at 100 yards the zero offset, the cold bore speed, and then when I go downrange to shoot the tall track test, I will be able to calculate based on how many mils of zero offset I have, that the 40 mils is correct when I set that up. So I'm gonna put this up on the tripod and I'm just gonna take a shot and make sure that my windage is good, since I've completely tore this thing apart. Hopefully I don't miss the paper, but should be about 14 inches high at 100 yards. So, tripod time. And we're hoping for cold bore speed of right around 30-30. That's where it likes it the most. Let's go lower this down. Oh man, I got really good down there. All right, so we've got lots of room here. My target is not level. That's okay. I can level to it and make sure it's good. My scope's level. All right, so we should be at around 14 inches, which at 100 yards is around roughly 4 mils, maybe just a little over. So let's go on this dot right here. We're leveled up. Radar's armed. All right, here we go. Well, I was hoping for a cold bore speed of 30-30. That was a success. Where did we hit? We are 4.2 mils high. And keep this thing level. I left the level down there and got lazy. I didn't level my target. That's okay. I can math it out. We're about a mil right, not quite a mil. About 8/10 right. So let's come 8/10 left. Okay. Not going to adjust the elevation because it's exactly where I want it. Literally, if I go down 4/10, it's completely bottomed out. That's all I got, is just a little bit of a buffer at the bottom. That way it's not completely on the dead stop. But that gives me a full 36 mils of travel in the scope itself. All right, let's shoot one more. I got these two Fowlers that were kind of anomalies. And they just, when I say anomaly, they just had a little different seating pressure than the rest. So now I'm going to shoot the same dot again, and this time it should be just left of that little guy right there. It should land right about, actually, you know what? Let's see, let's do something. If we go from here up to here, that's 7/10. Let's go 7/10. All right, that's my is crooked as heck. Okay, here we go. Alright, I'm hoping for another 30 feet per second roughly. .44 on that one, a little quicker. Windage is close. Level. There's level right there. We need to come a tenth more right. And elevation, not gonna mess with. Alright, this is about the last one of these that I can sacrifice. I can do the rest on the tall track. Alright, should put it right at the 4.2 to 4.3 high. Here we go. Adjust my parallax just a slight bit. A little mirage down there. Oh, pretty damn close. Alright. Should we level? Alright, here we go. Right on the money spot. Loud. 30.48 on that one, and basically right where I want it to be. There's level. High. Okay, so we just put 4.4 into the solver, and that's my offset. That's what we'll run. All right, I'm back down at the cardboard megalith. I've got the zeroing target set up and leveled on the bottom. I'm gonna go down to the 70-yard mark. I forgot one important thing. I need to measure the scope height overbore. Since I put a taller rail on it, it changed a little bit, and that's important when calculating what your zero is going to be, because you got to remember the bullet is actually flying uphill. The bullet is actually flying uphill to match what you're seeing in a straight line through your scope. So obviously now mine is actually flying a lot uphill because I'm shooting 4.4 mils high at 100 yards. I went down and I measured that target. It was 15 3/4 inches. Simple math. A mil is a mil. Doesn't matter if you're shooting 5 yards or 5,000 yards. A mil is 1/1000th the distance that you're shooting. So it's very simple math to calculate, no matter what distance you're at. I'm going to put all this information into the solver. I'm going to shoot it at 70 yards and find out what the offset is, because the bullet's still going to be flying uphill. And then we're going to shoot the tall track. Make sure that we're getting the full track of the scope to the full 36 mils and the full 40 mils of the Charlie Tarac. So I'm going to have two groups up at the top of this target. I'm going to shoot one shot down here and then two groups up the target, call it a day, and then we're going to come and measure from those holes, and I should have all the data that I need to verify that those are tracking the way I want them to, and we're good to go to the castle match in Texas. All right, so my scope height overbore was 2.58 inches. Now it is 2.93 inches with the new rail. my calculations with a 100-yard zero at 4.4 mils high at 70 yards, the come down is 4.2 mils. So I should be 4.2 mils high at this distance. The bullet is in an upward trajectory. The next 30 yards is only going to add 0.2 of a mil, approximately. We are going to verify that on paper, and then we are going to tall track it. So how many shots do I have left? I have 7 shots left. So perfect. 1 shot to verify the offset. That's going to give me a hole in the target that I can go off of. I'm going to come all the way up on the full scope travel, which is 12, 24, 36. All right, so 36 and a half. The scope actually has 37 mils of travel. I'm just going to go to 36. I'm going to make it usable. We're going to verify that 36 mils is 36 mils. Then put the Charlie on, verify 40 mils is 40 mils. So I'm going to turn on the trigger cam, put this on the tripod. I'm going to zoom out. I guess it's going to kind of turn the thing sideways. I'm going to verify that we have enough paper there. I'm sure we do. I've already calculated all this. The bullets are going to hit 2/3 of the way up the berm, just making sure everything's safe. That berm is gigantic, by the way. You can see my megalith there. So let's set it up and let's do this. I'm ready to wrap it up. It's getting hot out here. I also wanted to come out on a day that was pretty warm because I want to kind of emulate the weather conditions that we're going to have in Texas. It's going to be quite a bit hotter in Texas, actually. We got a little cool off here. But I'm letting the ammo actually warm up right now because I want to try to get a very similar situation and make sure the ammo is going to work. I'm not loading ammo down there, I decided. Perfect. Sniper ammo. It's been sitting in the sun. There's only a couple people who get that joke. Go ahead and put that on. Whoa. Why are you turning off on me? Because I need to put a USB-C port on this thing and not a micro, because they suck. Richard, how can we get a USB-C port on my lab radar? All right, here we go. All right, so we should hit around 4.2 mils high. 4.1, 4.2. Now, that's gonna put it at right about here. Okay, so we're gonna zoom out. Is this recording? There it is. All right, I gotta close this bolt more. There's 25 mils under. Oh yeah. Yeah, we've got plenty. So those rounds are gonna hit somewhere up in there, according to my calculations. All right, we need one perfect shot here to verify the 4.2 at 70 yards. Here we go. I need some earplugs. I'm about tired of these muffs. Okay. Here we go. Perfect. 4.2. So that is perfect. Speed is perfect. So now, 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna go 36 mils. This is where being level is very important. Your scope isn't level and you're dialing 30 mils plus, you're having serious windage issues. This is a proving ground where you can figure out if you're having those issues. And I guess I don't know. This scope is on another rifle. There's a lot of factors that go into it. All right, we're at 36 mils. We're just gonna shoot at the same spot. So what we're looking for is exactly 36 mils higher than that last shot I just took. I won't even be able to see where it goes. So I'm not even gonna look. I'm just gonna shoot 3 shots as clean as I can. And then we're gonna go look. Here we go. A little bit faster than I like. Just a touch. Actually, I better look. I'll make sure that I'm not missing. If I'm missing, I'm screwing up. Where the hell it go? Way up there at the top? It says staple. What is that? Oh, is that it? Oh, there it is. Oh, weird. I couldn't really see it at first. Okay, there it is. All right, we're good. And I was a little worried there. I'm like, uh-oh. No, it's on the board, and it looked to be pretty centered up. Make sure we level or not. I can level with my cheek. Last one. Speed not bad, a little fast. Just a little bit. All right, let's see what our group looks like. All right, that's not bad for 36 mils. That's doable. All right, I'm gonna put the Charlie on it, torque it down, and turn the camera back on when it's set up. So we're up in the trees. We're over the top of the berm. 40 mils. Boom. You can see right where we're at back on the cardboard. That's 40 mils in an instant. So now we're at 40. And there we are. Right back where we should be. We're looking pretty level. Pretty good. Got 3 shots left. Hopefully we get the speeds we're looking for. These are a little warm. These are a little bit warm. It's okay. It's gonna be hot in Texas. It's only like 85 here today. Let's just go ahead and do it. H50 BMG is pretty insensitive, so here we go. 40 mils, Tarac Charlie. Should be 4 mils over the last shots. Here we go. Alright, make sure we didn't miss anything. There's our group, there's our hit, and we are, look at that, 4 mils. I love it. And I just like it when things work out. You know, this makes you feel good, makes you feel confident on the firing line. If you go to the firing line and you question your equipment, if you just don't have the confidence. And if you don't have the confidence that you're going to make the impacts, you're not going to make the impacts. Words of wisdom of the day right there. If I was Gary Vee, that would be my wisdom of the day. All right, here we go. Let's get a nice, pretty group down there. And that speed is just right on the money. The last 2 shots have been exactly the same. A little faster than I like, but exactly the same. So I'll run with it if they group good. One more and that's all the ammo I've got for the day. We'll go check them out. Here we go. Not bad. Last 3 shots were 5 feet apart. Well, let's take a look through the scope. Take a look at the groups. Gotta get way down. Hey, that ain't bad at all. Elevation was great. That little bit of windage, that literally can be a fraction of a degree in the cant, you know, in the level bubble. That much at 40 mils. So I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on the windage and the group size. I look at elevation because elevation at this distance is the most important factor. I mean, we're talking a fraction of a degree can be that width right there. So that looks right on. Man, you know, it might be 3.9 center to center on that. But we're gonna go back to that first hit right there and make sure we've got 36 and 40 mils all the way up. Speeds didn't look bad. Let's see what all that whole set was. That whole set, all 10 shots, is SD of 8.7. That included cold bore. So not bad. You know, if I take the cold bore out, I can compensate for that. The cold bore is where I want it, and then I just put the rest of it in the average, which the average is 3050, SD of 6. It's not bad. You know, I'd like to be a little bit better, but I'll take it. You know, this barrel's at its half-life. That's about all I can ask from it at this point. So, cool, let's go check these out down here and measure them out. All right, I'm back down at the monolith. I forgot my sunglasses. Anyway, I'll be fine. So, first thing I notice is the Charlie is a little bit left of where it should be. It's a little bit left of the track of the scope. So that's something I need to take into consideration when using the Charlie, that I'm basically going to have a built-in left windage offset. But that's why you do these tests, so that you know that that is the reality. Because it's really hard to measure this high off the ground. Screw it. I don't even care. Here's what we got to do. This is the important part. speed this up. That's what software editing's for. Ready, set, go. That's pretty darn good. Slightly left. So the group is slightly left of my level line. I'm going to go home. I'm going to put a line all the way on it, make sure it's perfect, and then measure from here. Aiming point here, and then I'll be able to calculate everything I need. Should be able to get me, hell, at least 4,000, probably close to 4,000 yards with that setup. So let's make the trek back home. All right, I'm back in my basement. I've got my tape measure lined up with the offset, the 0 offset hole. I've got my level line drawn all the way out past the groups. And what we have here, all right, we're looking at 91, I'd say about a little over a half. We'll call it 91 and a half. So first thing we need to figure out is how much a mil is at 70 yards. So 3.6 times 0.7. All right, 2.52 inches is 1 mil. So 91.5 divided by 2.52 equals 36.3. So my scope on full 36 mil travel is actually 36.3 mils. So I will take note of that. So every revolution in my turret is going to, I need to add 1/10 for every 12. Okay, so now for the Charlie, I would call that 101, 101 and a half. 101.5 divided by 2.52 equals 40.3. So we can call that 0.3. So whenever I get to that point, I need to take 0.3 out of my dope. And then the last thing we need to do is measure center of that group. To do it correctly, you want to measure all 3 of them and average it out. But just for the sake of making this video is, we'll call it 0.7 inches. So now 0.7, yeah, divided by 2.52, 3/10. So I have a 3/10 left shift in my scope as well at 36 mils. And when I add the Charlie, Dad, grill some chicken. I can do that. So the Charlie's off by roughly a mil. I'll just add, call it 0.9. 2.42 divided by 2.52. Just call it a mil. So whenever I add the Charlie, I need to put in my offset windage in my ballistics that it has a mil left already put into it. So that's how you true up a Charlie Tarac. Do a tall tracking test. and make sure everything is what it says it is. You can put all that data into your ballistics, and if there is a problem that you don't know about, I wouldn't call it a problem, if there is some sort of a discrepancy that you don't know about, then you're gonna fight that wind and like, wait a minute, you know, my teammates had 4 mils, why am I at 5? Well, there's the simple answer. So, guys, I can make serious videos. I'm not always joking. Sometimes I'm just trying to have fun. So, if you like this content, I'm gonna put a button right here. Little button right here has my face on it. Click right there to subscribe. Thanks, y'all.